We begin with the tragic news of America's deadliest day since the start of this pandemic. Yesterday, the U.S. became the first country to record more than 2,000 deaths in 24 hours. Other headlines, there are now more than 500,000 infections in the U.S. President Trump says he is eager to reopen the country, but won't lift restrictions until conditions are safe. And tech giants, Apple and Google, are teaming up to develop tracing software. It will allow public health officials to get a better sense of people who may have been infected by coronavirus carriers.
We're going to talk more about that in a moment. There are signs the infection rate is slowing down in New York, epicenter of the coronavirus. For the first time since the outbreak began, there are fewer people in intensive care units than the day before. Michael George is in New York City this morning. Michael, good morning.
Good morning. Everyone is looking for those encouraging signs of hope, and one of them is right behind me. The naval ship Comfort was brought in to take on 1,000 overflow patients, but now New York's governor says most of those beds may not be needed. But officials caution we still have a long fight ahead.
This is the end of the week, that famous week that we spoke about last weekend, in which what actually was predicted to happen happened. We're starting to see the leveling off and the coming down.
While the rate of new cases slowed, the virus killed more than 11,000 people in the United States this week, nearly half of them in New York, where an old public cemetery's once-a-week burials became a daily operation. And no one is saying it's advisable to end stay-at-home orders, particularly the doctors on the White House Coronavirus Task Force.
This is not the time to feel that since we have made such important advance in the sense of success of the mitigation, that we need to be pulling back at all.
We still see cases occurring in the Boston area and in Chicago, but their rate of increase seems to be stabilizing.
But data released this week shows underserved communities are being disproportionately hit hard. In Illinois, 28% of those who tested positive are African Americans, though they make up 15% of the state's population. In Michigan, blacks account for 40% of the positive cases, but just 14% of the population.
Look at all of the structural issues around all of these healthcare inequalities, all of these lower income jobs. It tends to impact individuals in neighborhoods of color a lot more than it does in other.
Overall, the number of confirmed cases in the U.S. has now exceeded 500,000.
This cannot be a weekend to think we can let our foot off the gas. We're not even close, folks. We have to keep with it.
But battle lines have been drawn on gatherings for Sunday's Easter services. In Kansas, the governor took the Republican legislature to court after it overturned her order limiting religious services to fewer than 10 people.
We do not have time to play political games during a pandemic.
Of 43 states that have issued stay-at-home orders, at least 18 consider traveling to or from places of worship to be essential. But not Father Carl Arcosa at St. Michael's in Livermore, California.
For the first time in my life as a priest and also as a Catholic and a Christian, I won't be in the church.
He'll be online with parishioners praying right along.
Online is okay at this moment. If we survive for this catastrophic time, if we believe in God, it's okay at this moment.
And health experts say this weekend is not the time to abandon social distancing. Dr. Burke said this gives us great heart that we're starting to see that change, but the World Health Organization says stopping now would only prolong the crisis. Dana?
All right, Michael, patience for everyone. Thank you.